Smoke 'em listeners. It is Nancy Rommelman here. My better half, Sarah Heppel, is off doing an audio recording of her book this week, and ergo could not come and do sort of a semi-emergency pod about Dr. Fauci. I watched some of the hearings yesterday. I was so livid. I went downstairs and started talking my boyfriend's ear off, sort of screaming, actually. And he said, I think you need to do something with this, Nancy. So I invited someone who knows a whole lot more about this than me. But before we get to our guest today, I want to remind listeners that it is the first Sunday. Zoom is this coming Sunday. We are doing a group watch. You should have watched it already, the movie Young Washington. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We have a good crew, paid subscribers. We send out a link the day of. So watch the movie. Come join us. It's going to be fun. And now to get to the special guest that I'm so excited. Someone who I'm friends with in real life, Mary Katharine Ham, who is a contributor now at Fox, used to be at CNN. You're sort of like the ubiquitous common. You also have a podcast, Getting Hammered, which you revivified, and you also podcast sometimes with Carol Markowitz.
I do. It's called Normally. Look, I got my sign up here.
Right behind. She tweeted the funniest thing today. She's like, the other day, she's like, I said to my husband, you know, the Tate brothers have been arrested, and he's like, who's the Tate brothers? And she's like, oh, God bless you, really.
It must be nice.
It must be nice to not know about this. You know, we had you on one other time, which was great. And I think during that podcast, you described yourself as a natural contrarian, but I actually think you are extremely clear-eyed. And that's not because I find myself usually agreeing with you. I just find you to be very clear about what's going on as opposed to being in one camp or the other. Am I right, Mary Katharine?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a thing that many people lack, particularly in this town, which is that I can very clearly see what sucks about both sides. And it's some people will misidentify it as whataboutism. And I'm like, no, I just think we should consider that all of these people are untrustworthy. And perhaps from your tribe, you could understand if I frame it this way with someone that you're more inclined to see as a bad actor, you would understand why we see this person as a bad actor. But yeah, I attempt to be fair and to be open about the fact that I, favor right-leaning, particularly economic policies, certainly, which makes me crosswise with the White House on the tariffs, by the way. So I try to be clear about that so people can make their distinctions or make their assessments of me given that.
I mean, I was never in the bag for politicians, but I have to say the baldness that I have observed in the past 10 years, and it's also because we have this like sort of heightened sensitivity because of, we've got, Trump derangement syndrome over here, and we've got own the libs over here, and everybody became addicted, not everybody, but these particular tribes became addicted. And I have just the baldness that I've seen lately, including what we're going to talk about, Dr. Fauci. I'm absolutely disgusted. I can't believe that I pay these people salaries.
Yeah. There's also the part of this, and I believe we maybe talked about Candace last time I was on too, a little bit.
Oh,
and
man.
That's part of the symptom here, which is the personality disorder economy, which is like,
yep.
The more deranged you are and the more persistent you are in being deranged and never taking accountability for being wrong, the more money you make, which is a really perverse incentive. And you have to be weird or lazy or have a very specific moral compass to resist it all the time.
Let's talk about Candace a second. I did a very, very, very quick hit interview with her back at Freedom Fest in 2019. And I may have said this on the podcast that we did. And I have interviewed a lot of charming sociopaths. I mean, a lot. And I was like, oh, this woman's good. Yeah. She's good. And she kind of has the whole package. She's young. She's attractive. She can be incredibly charming and hone in on you, like what's going to work for you. I find her to be so bonkers at this point. But what she keeps doing that I'm not sure if her fans know it, if they become addicted to the sort of pattern, she goes out onto the edge of crazy land. And then when that doesn't work out, she just forgets about it and goes out to the next edge of crazy land. What is this satisfying in her listeners?
Yeah, it does seem like people react to it as a sort of addiction, right? And it seems to be a combo of sort of true crime, although none of it's true. But the vibe is true crime soap opera in a podcast, and I don't find her to be trustworthy. She doesn't bring receipts. I
None.
guess if you're interested in just entertainment, she is compelling to some degree. But there's so much good true crime out there. Why are we consuming this?
I think someone had said to me that, a lot of her listenership apparently are sort of, moms, like
Yes.
at home. And
Yes.
I wonder if it makes them feel like they're in the know. So of course some people are sort of laughing at her, but I wonder if for some people it's like, what's really happening here. And she's the one that's telling us the truth. And it's like, but like I don't know if it's shade in Florida, but like I know she's in a lawsuit or was in a lawsuit with Macron, right? They were
Mhm.
suing her. Like whatever happened with that?
She just, yeah. She just,
I see a future for her where when this doesn't work out anymore, she goes and becomes like a lifestyle influencer, like the next Meghan Markle. She'll have another act, which is yeah.
yeah. And actually, no, it sort of dovetails with what we're going to talk about with Fauci, because I think the lack of trust in all institutions, exacerbated by someone like Fauci, who is obviously lying to people on a regular
Mhm.
basis,
Mhm.
and there's an attempt to prop him up by one tribe while another tribe says, I
Mhm.
think he's wrong. The distrust created by that leaves an opening for a Candace Owens to say, everyone is lying to you all the time except for me. And then that makes the people feel like, who are listening to her, aha, I'm the one with my eyes wide open. All these other people are sheep. And look, sometimes that is true. I have felt many times that my eyes are open and other people are not seeing what I'm seeing, and I'm telling the truth. But if you take it to the extremes that she does without bringing the actual receipts, then you end up just deluding a lot of people.
So we're going to get to Fauci, who was brought up before the Senate yesterday to sort of answer some questions about what he did during the pandemic, some of the decisions he made, and he made, to my eye, the least courageous and generous choice that he could, which was to just say, under the advice of counsel, I plead the fifth. What did you think about that tactic, Mary Catherine?
I don't like it. For once, he finds a time he's not going to talk, and this is it. He's been happy to be in front of a camera for years and get paid exorbitant amounts of money for it. He has repeatedly lied to the public and gotten paid out the wazoo while he's doing it. And I think these diary entries that were released by Rand Paul, which apparently he kept on government computers, which is how they got
Which is
access to this.
which is incredible. I mean, when you had a diary when you were 14, it had like a little heart-shaped lock, right? And then you
Oh,
hid it in
definitely a
your
lot. Yeah.
underwear drawer so mom wouldn't see it. But
Mhm.
he's doing it on a government computer.
Yeah.
This is
I mean,
someone who is huffing his own farts and he
that's yes. No, that is an indication of where he is as a person. So he comes before this committee and he's like, even though he has this ridiculous pardon for everything that ever could have happened, he still refuses just to be frank about what's happening here. And I think it's because probably if he's under oath there, he can't lie, right? That would open him up to a new
right.
problem. And reconciling his diaries with his public statements is going to require admitting lying at some point, and I don't think he wants to do that.
I mean, I'm glad for our constitutional protections. I appreciate that. That's the first thing I said when I realized he wasn't going
Yes.
to answer any questions. I'm like, you know what? I appreciate this. And yet, as someone who is or was a public servant, who is in charge of people's health, we are talking literally a matter of life and death, not
Mhm.
just in the past, but in the future. Okay, so Mary Catherine, you and I go to a concert. I don't put any gas in the car. We run out of gas. If I don't accept that, then the next time we go to a concert, we're going to run out of gas again. Like we didn't learn
Yes.
anything. That he somehow feels no responsibility for the fact that he is going to help us not learn to keep people alive, to be able to visit our loved ones when they're maybe dying in a hospital. I I I don't even think reprehensible is a strong enough word. I
It's
think
not,
it's criminal. I
no,
think it's criminal.
I've had to limit my exposure to all of this week to the extent that I can. I mean, I have to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
watching it, but to some extent, I've had to walk away because it makes me so angry. And I think that the fiction and the sort of tribal allegiance to him and to what he was saying is more important for him to uh, uphold than admitting, okay, there were problems here, and in fact, I exacerbated them. That's the part that gets me, is when you're reading through the diary entries. It's very clear that this wasn't just like things are moving very fast and we're not exactly sure and it's a novel virus, which is something I was willing to give
Absolutely.
leeway on at the beginning.
Absolutely.
But it became clear to me not too far in that some of this was bad faith. And in fact, the diary puts in pretty stark detail that a lot of these decisions were made in bad faith, that he behind the scenes believed something different, that he thought we were too dumb to hear correct things. And I'm mad about it.
I love you know what, the little people are too stupid. Let's not give them the information. Let's talk a little bit. You did an episode yesterday on getting hammered about the diaries. So I have not read the diaries. I've listened to certain things. I've seen clips. Tell the listeners a little more about the diaries and what struck you as really.
Yeah, I mean, so you can start just like, this is the less serious stuff, but you can start with the cartoonish self-absorption of this man, to a degree that's really gross. In fact, at the beginning of a diary entry, he'll start with like the death toll for that day, and then he'll end the diary with, I was featured on the cover of this. The media is going wild with me. People are naming donuts after me. I had an Instagram live with Steph Curry. It is insulting in its self-absorption during this horrific time when, by the way, we're all being told that if you are a healthy person and you enjoy your life at all, you are a public enemy, right? While he's out there just toast of the towning it up. At times it's revealed that he was going to dinner at other people's households at times when we were being told not to hold Thanksgiving. He was workshopping questions with journalists for him. It's clear that he brags about having convinced de Blasio and Cuomo to close New York and close schools.
He also was behind masking 2-year-olds.
Yes.
And
then you can see in this diary his ever-shifting view on masking, because remember, this is how we know he was full of it from the beginning, is at the beginning he said, don't mask, it's not effective, because he wanted to keep masks out of N95s out of the hands of non-professionals. Right. And instead of just saying that, he lied about it. Then he says, oh yeah, well, they're doing the cloth masks anyway, and he gets wedded to the idea of these cloth masks, which then becomes this ridiculous flashpoint when it never needed to be, because they didn't work.
Let's go back for a second. Yes, let's go back to February 2020. Again, we did not know a lot. You're a mother. I'm a mother. Like, we don't know. You're being told these very serious things. You see what's happening in Italy. You are looking for leading lights. That makes sense. Like, who's in charge here? Who understands how we're going to get out of this or how we're going to manage this? I didn't have a problem with Fauci at the beginning. Why would I? Like, I don't know a lot about him. I know a little bit about his past, with AIDS and stuff. I thought yesterday watching the hearings, the person that I sort of agreed with the most with how we felt and how our feelings for Fauci changed was John Fetterman, who showed up in a suit, by the way, which was kind of great. Yeah. He's like, I didn't have a reason to doubt you. Like, why would I? But then, like, I kind of did, and I think you've really, really let down the American public in ways that are, I actually think at this point, I don't know if I could say they're criminal, because I don't know what he would have crossed, but he definitely made a terrible situation much, much worse.
Yes.
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's probably about where I am. Although when I don't really love when public officials do this, but when Moreno used the F word to address Fauci, I did. That sang in a part of my soul. I wouldn't have done it as a senator if I were one, but so I appreciated Fetterman's approach. I was the same way. Like, at the beginning, I was like, I want to watch and evaluate here, and I think a lot of people, and journalists among them, which was a very bad move, were not watching and evaluating or listening and evaluating. They were watching and needing comfort from this man, and they were, that is not what you want to be doing, I don't think, with any public official. I
No.
understand the desire, but it became clear that Cuomo was the same thing. He was like this, oh, he's solid, he's telling us what we need to hear, he's measured, we feel good about him. It's like, first, I think I need that less than other people do, maybe.
Oh, no, I don't want that hero worship. I
Yeah.
understand we needed a hero. Hey, if Superman had flown down and told us he had the solution,
Yes.
we all would have been like, let me, shine your cape here.
Well,
Go ahead.
and journalists in particular, it's your job to evaluate what this man is saying. And I pretty quickly, as a layperson, knew that young people were so much more safe than old people, and that outside was safer than inside. And if those two things had been expressed more clearly, we all would have been better off.
Hey, listeners in listener land, and for those of you on YouTube, maybe watching it, thanks for being here. This is the end of the free portion of this episode. If you would like the entire episode, got to head over to Substack. That's smoke'empodcast.substack.com. Become a paid subscriber. Many ways to do that. You get the full episodes and you get some other niceties and et cetera and et cetera. And if you are over here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button as well. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. Thanks.